Go.
All right. My name is Yazen Al Kodmani. I'm from Emirates Bio Farm. Today, we're going to talk about everything to do with agriculture, the future of agriculture, food security, and everything in between. On the show Come As You Are. You can watch it on Instagram and other pages. Sorry to say other pages. I don't know what.
Okay. Welcome to Come As You Are. Thank you for listening in. And our guest today is GM of Emirates Bio Farm, serial food entrepreneur, as well as king of the crop, I guess. And his family's been here since the 1970s, helped shape the agricultural revolution in the UAE, starting with growing wheat, I guess back in the 70s, as well as fertilizer. And I'm going to let him take it on from here. Thanks for coming in, Yazen.
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you. I'm really happy to have you in the first show, actually.
Great. Yeah.
Just so you know, so I got 2 yeses from Yazen for being on the show. Then I got 2 no's from him, and yesterday I got a yes one. So I'm very grateful you finally. Thank you. Okay, let's start with what about how long you've been here and growing up here? Because I grew up here and I saw a picture of you in a farm, and I've been to farms in UAE when I was a kid.
Okay.
And that was, it was in Al-Khawnij and a few other places, but it wasn't as big as when I saw a picture of your dad with you and your dad in the farm.
Yeah.
So how was it growing up over here?
I was born here 87, so I spent my entire life here. I grew up here in agriculture, as you said, but mostly in building greenhouses, in the irrigation systems, and doing the supplies, the fertilizers, all of that. But the whole family has been in agriculture as a business, and we just grew up in it. I studied finance, actually.
So, finance?
Yeah.
Why did you go towards finance? And you could have gone, you could have studied agriculture.
Yeah, you think so? I think, with agriculture, I'm like currently my job is not production, right? So there are the agriculture engineers on the farm, and then there's the operations and the logistics and the business development and all of that. So I do that part. So finance is relevant still. Yeah.
Are you happy? Are you happy being in finance?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, you enjoying it?
Yeah. If I had to do it again, I'd probably go engineering. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Engineering. Why engineering though?
Any kind of, agriculture engineering, civil, something useful.
Okay. Something useful. I think the most useful thing at this moment in time.
No digging to finance people. Yeah, exactly. Food, doctors, teachers. I mean.
I'm not too sure about doctors, but teachers definitely. Yeah, I'm more of a natural person.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want to kick off with is a bit about you. How you start? Did you get into it? Did you have to get into it? Truth be told.
Truth be told, no. I had to get into it. With Emirates Bio Farm, the story was funny. So I came back, I studied in Canada, I worked there a bit, and then I came back here. I did work with the family business, but in like internal auditing and in landscaping, nothing to do with farming specifically. And then I set up my own restaurant and a bakery in Dubai, and I did that for a while in food. And then I was asked to come out, because of my food background, to come out and look at one of the parts of Emirates Bio Farm that wasn't doing well, and it's more about the marketing and the logistics and the operational aspect. Yeah, and it went from, can you come and take a look, to I spent a week there trying to study, and then a month, and then I was cleaning carrots in 2 months. No one asked me to. That's what happened, is that I found the passion of actually being involved in the farm more than the whole management and trying to oversee and look at things from just in an office in a finance aspect. So I ended up being in the farm on a day-to-day basis, staying up even late. We work like 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. And I did that for about 6 months, and then I started doing the operations. I built out the whole pack house, logistics, distribution, business development, because Emirates Bio Farm was just new.
So what was revolutionary for you when you got inside?
Oh, so much, of course. When you get into the details, there's so much, in the past, especially 3-4 years, I've been involved in every aspect. But I think the passion part, that you're not going to do a job that's just a job. Like there's purpose behind it. People that you deal with are happy. It's passion. It's a different feeling. And then when you build this kind of movement, and we were lucky to be in the organic. In general, my family has been in environment protection. So Emirates Bio Fertilizer Factory does organic fertilizers as a solution to, this is history now. The country here was founded in 1971, and the late Sheikh Zayed wanted to build out farming. He believed that farming is the keystone to civilization. And like you said, food is the cornerstone, right? Food security. So he developed farming through subsidies and giving farms and a lot of policies, governmental policies that created this boom in farming.
Okay.
And Abu Dhabi and different areas of the UAE had huge numbers of farms, and we don't have any of the support infrastructure, right? So everything is imported from outside, and one of those was fertilizers. And when you're talking about animal fertilizers, they came in untreated. They came in from neighboring countries. They came in from as far as, let's say, Pakistan. And different areas, and what happens is it brought with it whatever pests are in those countries, so invasive species, invasive pests, and it kind of caused the big problem. It introduced so much negative things into the UAE when it comes to the environment. So they established Emirates Bio Fertilizer Factory, where it's now the country has like poultry and cow, and then all the manure is collected now, created a fertilizer, heat treated, where you kill off the pathogens, and then used in the country. So now there's a whole circular fertilizer business. So that was about environment protection.
I didn't know. I think recently when I was reading about Emirates Bio Farm, I think you'll do tours that you get onto at the farm. I didn't know you'll use chicken poop at the farm. I didn't know chicken poop was used actually here in farming locally.
It's actually the best quality animal fertilizer.
Is this global? Is it used everywhere?
Yeah.
Okay, so since the 70s, your family's been here. You started, of course, there was a bit of wheat out of what I read you'll created as well. Then you started you create local
biofertilizers, yes.
And now you've got into farming as well.
Yes.
Now,
which is the final step.
Which is is it the final step? I'm sure.
No. The final step of agriculture is eating.
Are you getting into that as well? Now, at the farm, what do you do at the farm? So, from what I've read, you actually have people coming to the farm as well.
Yeah, tourism.
You started tourism at the farm.
Agri tourism, yes.
Since when how did that commence and when did that commence?
The idea with the agri tourism is not new. It's something that happens abroad, let's say with like picking strawberries or like harvest season in Canada and different places that we were influenced with. But this is Dubai after all. Yeah. So we have baristas in the farm, right? You have the coffee, you have... you got to do it in a different way. But at the same time, we couldn't take out the essence. Like if you make it too nice, this fancy restaurant and everything, it'll take out what people are actually visiting for. They're visiting because they want their children to touch soil, to see insects, to have different smells and this experience. They don't want this clean because that's what they're getting everywhere else. So we try to keep it as authentic as possible. To go back to the question, how did it start? We started B2C, like a website, to try and sell direct to consumers.
Okay.
EmiratesBioFarm.com. And to build that up, we started the Instagram page. And it was just, the first photos, you can see my hand, like it's just me doing on my phone, the Instagram, right? And, excuse me. So all the comments, so many of the comments were, where is this? Can I come see? Like, can I come visit? Can I come? And organic farming, you have to have all these biocontrols. If you have people walking around and coming in and touching this and that, like we have controls in the way we work. Like the person that works here doesn't go there. This person wears gloves, doesn't move here. Like there's ways to control and try and protect the crops because you're not using chemical pesticides and all these things. So we didn't want people coming in. So we built a small greenhouse, a very small structure, to welcome guests, to have like small scale events. But the idea was like once a month.
Okay.
Right?
Just get somebody in, give them educate
if you want to do, if you want to do a school, if you want to do something. And the first time, so I put it up, designed the flyer on Canva and said open farm days. And that was day one. And like 150 people came.
On day one?
Yeah, and I was
Without
shocked.
marketing?
No.
Just
No,
out there.
just putting up the post, yeah. Yeah. Because so
How did you manage that?
I didn't. So maybe some of the people that came that day can, yeah. But the idea is that who's gonna come is the people that go and shop at, we used to do farmers markets in Business Bay and in different areas. And these farmers markets have been around before us, and we would participate in them. And we know the people that come to the farmers market and care about organic. And I thought these are the people that are gonna come. Those are the ones that are commenting, right? And I was shocked that there's a larger number of people that are interested in this. And so we decided to do another day. Well, there was no blocks, and there was people walking all over the place and in the pack house, and just, just exploring, just making themselves at home, yeah. So then set up the next one, and like 250 people came. On
one day?
Yeah. And you're not talking about a day where there's dinner and, you're just talking about a couple of hours. And it's me, basically. And I'm like, I'm the operations manager. It's a Friday. This is my day off. I'm hanging out with you guys.
The 250 random people you don't know. That's good, right?
Yeah. It was, And it was supposed to be even a free thing, and people come and get educated and all of that. And then they shop. Like, that's the benefit.
Okay.
And then we realized, okay, there's more here.
You got to put some structure to it.
Got to put some fences, direct people. And that's where the tractor came in.
Policing a bit.
That's where the tractor came in.
That's pretty cool. That's so
yeah, the idea with the tractor is that the field is, half a kilometer away. Yeah. And I'm walking these people. Half a kilometer isn't that far, but in general, it takes time and So the tractor also is a cool ride for kids and for people to feel like they are part of the, they are part of the farm. So we had one tractor. I was the tour guide. You get on, I welcome you. We do a 1 hour tour, we get down. So then we decided, okay, this area is fenced off for visitors. They hang out here. When the tour comes, they get loaded on. They do one specific route. So you're going to one area in the farm and that's it.
Okay.
There's no cross contact. And we designated this is for visitors.
The rest is hands off. They don't go. They can't enter that.
But you can see it. I mean, Emirates Bio Farm is very open.
That's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, you can see the fields and It's not any cleaner or tidier or anything. It's exactly just a bit of the farm.
It's a different patch basically. Where people
That's it.
Interact with the produce.
And we got down and then we start harvesting with kids and if we're planting, like the guys are planting, I'd welcome the guests, come and help us, and they would plant. Or if we're harvesting potatoes or something, go ahead, enjoy yourselves. And people loved it.
I love it, dude. Yeah, just being in a farm.
I think that's when we realized that there's something missing, that it's a human need, that we need to be in nature.
Absolutely.
It's and not manicured like lawns and perfect grass and perfect trees. In nature, as in using your own hands, touching ground, touching soil, removing vegetables, smelling, interacting with your kids, with the land. And then the farm it's surrounded by desert. It's not a village, a city, or a farming area. So there's no car smells, it's just fresh air. And you see these towering dunes all around. And it's kind of sloped. So you see the entire farm from one vantage point. And it grew really popular. And I love the dads. Usually they show up on a Friday, let's say, and they look like they need a coffee, and they're forced because the mom wants to take the kids to this farm in Elaine, and he's like, he's gonna come see a farm in Elaine, and then you see them pleasant.
Watching this or listening to this,
they see them pleasant. You see them get pleasantly surprised. They get on the tour, and then when they come back, it's just the shoulders are down. The guy's happier, breathing better, smiling. It's just. You're missing this as part of your humanity, as part of your
Absolutely. I'm so with you. Nature, we're meant to connect.
And that's why we have the great reviews. We're not even good at any of the tours.
You're still mastering that.
I mean, you make mistakes and people are forgiving because at the end of the day, it doesn't look like we decided to do a tourism project and made a patch around it.
Yeah.
It's a farm. Like we're letting you come into an industrial farm that's doing organic agriculture on large scale and letting you be a part of it. So people fully appreciate that. And they're talking to the people that are actually behind it. So they appreciated that very much.
I think the authenticity goes a long way. No matter what you're trying to do, if you're authentic to yourself and your people who you're interacting with, and did value regardless. You mess up, you do whatever, you get everything wrong.
Yeah.
They still appreciate you being really who you are.
The people that came really appreciated what we're doing, and they kept coming back, and they told people about us, and that's how it grew. And today we receive 1,000 guests a weekend. We're open 7 days a week. We have a restaurant on site, farm shop, corporate team events, tree planting, school trips.
Wow, you've gone a long way.
Oh yeah. It's a full team now. It's not just me. I don't do tours anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good news. I do them sometimes.
Do you?
Yeah, just for fun.
What day? Tell me, so the guests can come and be there.
I mean,
Is this still going on right now?
No, we, regardless of COVID or not, we would be closed because it's off season. It's June.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a bit too hot.
It's a bit too hot for the
You
guests.
don't have a shaded walk through it.
We have we didn't do that, but we have greenhouses and the restaurant, and you can sit inside, and it's beautiful in the morning and the evening.
Okay.
But also at the end of the day, we are food distributors, and the safety of the food, and if you're having guests coming in and interacting with our staff, so in general, you're trying to, we don't want to push it and have all these guests over. So we'll be open to guests again in November.
In November, okay. That's COVID, I guess that's over with. And being outdoors, I think is great anyways. Right?
I think people are gonna want to. Like I have a 4-year-old myself, and I want to take him out. And if I'm gonna take him to an indoor space, like the traditional, let's say, Magic Planets and stuff, I'm sure they're gonna figure out a way to have the guests. But I think people are gonna look for outdoor activities.
Absolutely, and it's more hygienic. It's much better being outdoors anyways.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fun time anyways. Yeah. People, yeah, and we've got a play area, and every year we add more. There's, petting zoo, and
You have a petting zoo as well?
yeah, but it's not a petting zoo, it's a bunch of goats.
Okay. That's what a petting zoo is, I think.
Yeah, I mean, because
He's giving a new name to it.
I mean, I'm not having, random, like it's not like non-farm animals.
Okay.
Like why do I have a turtle? It makes no sense, right? But I mean, we want to keep it authentic. It has to look like a farm.
Has to be. And
it has to be the organic agriculture. Organic agriculture is the space given to any animals has to be a certain size. They have to have access to outside and inside, and because of all of that, we try to keep it authentic and real.
Okay, no camels on the farm, right?
Our neighbor has a camel.
Has a camel.
So people stop and take photos with them. They do our landscaping, the camels, because we have this full fence of trees.
Okay.
And they make sure it doesn't get
go past.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So you got background covered as well. A real UAE authentic experience.
Yes, yeah. Sometimes people are like, yeah, we got stuck in like a camel traffic. Like there's camels walking in front of you. You gotta wait your turn.
Amazing experience for people who just come to the UAE who've never experienced camels. I think that's epic.
Yeah, we used to, so we stopped.
Probably rent them out.
We stopped doing this. So the farm has this full desert and beautiful dunes around. So the tour used to end on top of a sand dune.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then it's like up to you. You want to come back with me
sunset?
back sunset? We used to do that. Yeah, and it was very popular with sunset.
You mastered this. This is.
But it's like you want to come back to our starting point. You can come back. You can walk back. Now you know the rules and everything around the farm and the way, or just wait for me here. Next tour is in an hour. I'll pick you up, and I just leave people there.
With date bubbles, a bottle of date bubbles.
There's water and dates and and tea, and they hang out and they love it because the kids, it's open desert. You don't have to watch them, and they absolutely love climbing up and down. And then you're looking at the farm, so this overview.
Wow, I should come down.
We stopped doing that because it's like too much going on.
Okay.
You got to do the tours and too many people.
A lot of people.
Too many people walking around.
Get more people in there, and I think you do really well actually.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an experience like this that exists.
Every year we've expanded.
Okay.
Every year. So the first year, like I said, there was one structure, one tractor. Now it's 6 tractors, tour guides, and then you have a nursery now where you can buy your fertilizers, plants, everything you need to, because you get excited. So people are like, okay, I'm ready. I'm convinced. I want to go farm, right?
What's next?
What's next? So on the way out, we have the full set for you. You just buy a tomato plant. We already helped you in the initial stage so that you're ready to go.
And you should partner up with these. I think this balcony farming, Emirates balcony farming, UAE balcony farming, and a few other sources I knew. Laura really well. I don't know if you remember her. She's very big into urban farming.
There's quite a few groups now, and I think with the current situation, it had just exploded, where people are way more interested about producing
That's
their own
great.
food at home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think getting the mindset in the kids, I think, is really important as well. You know what you're eating, where it comes from, educational wise as well.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me produce-wise. What
Yes.
sort of produce do you have at the farm? I mean,
So
what
we always
variety?
say in like the brochures or whatever, it's like 65 plus items,
Okay, what's
but
the
reality
variety?
is like more, way more.
Okay.
But-
why don't you advertise it then?
Because there's a huge portion that we do for research, for fun, for biodiversity, for just trying to find something new. So for the past 3 years, I've been trying like 10, 15, 20 varieties of chilies every single season. And I fail and I constantly, and then you find one that works. So this goes into seeds. Do you want to get into the details?
I want to find out what's failing in agriculture, because that's a new concept to me. I never heard that. If you fail, how do you fail with the chili, man? I mean, it's not spicy enough?
No, it's not heat resistant. It's not productive. So you have
Yield-wise, you mean?
yield-wise, the productivity is low. It's not disease resistant.
Okay.
So
It tastes good. I mean, if you get a small batch.
it could taste good, yeah. But
Okay.
then what's your cost? So you have to sell it at
Okay, so
80 dirhams a kg, and
It's
then
not viable.
the chef is like, I love this variety and I want it. And then he has a purchasing guy that's like, tomato organic, how much? Like, he's not talking about variety, he's not talking
Okay,
about
yeah.
flavor. This guy's selling it this much, how much is yours? It's like, okay, then I have to grow the exact same tomato that everyone else is growing, because they have identified and everyone has identified. I'm not the first one to grow tomatoes locally.
Okay.
So you come and you grow the same one because it's the most heat resistant, the most disease resistant, productive in this country, let's say. And those are hybrids. Okay? Hybrids, so this is why I said you want to talk about seeds, because it's going to go back to seeds, and it's actually a rabbit hole.
But I think I think that's the essence
That's the
of it,
start.
right? That's where it all
Yeah,
comes from.
and there's a lot of misconception there.
Okay, go ahead, shoot me.
Okay. Hybrids are not genetically modified or anything. It's, I have a variety here that's very productive, but let's say it doesn't taste great. And I have a variety here that tastes amazing, but not productive.
Okay, is
I-
Monsanto to non-Monsanto? Is that what we're looking at?
Well, Monsanto, okay, let's say is a seed company. So any seed company will have research and identify these two types or varieties, and they would come and cross-pollinate.
Okay.
So to produce the seeds, they would manually pollinate each one, make sure that this is pollinated from this other cultivar, not from its own.
Okay.
All right. And then they will produce a new seed. This new seed is called a hybrid. It's more vigorous, and it's like a child, a human child he takes from both parents.
Okay.
So that's what happens there. Now, the first generation did take from both. If you interbreed the kids, you have problems down the
Yeah.
line. That's the same with seeds. So when you have a hybrid,
Yeah.
F1, which will be the first,
Seed.
yeah, then you try to collect seeds from it, they fail. They're not as productive. They're not the same tomato.
Okay.
So that is the problem, is that now you need to buy the seed every single season from one company. And you can collect seeds, which is how it was done in India or the Middle East or anywhere in the world. And when you collected seeds, you collected from the best producing ones always, so it's always improving based on your country, on your requirements, on your soil and your everything. But these seed companies came in to our countries and to many countries around the world. Here's the seeds for free. Try them. You try them. Oh, it's amazing. It's productive. It's incredible. Yes, here, take, cheaper. And then once your original seeds are gone and your seed bank is destroyed, some countries had seed banks due to war, they just get destroyed. In Iraq, it had a seed bank that's hundreds of years old. Destroyed, Lebanon destroyed, Syria destroyed. So you don't have your own seeds anymore. You don't own your food anymore. So this is why seeds is a touchy subject. And this is why organic talks about, let's go back to heirloom. Heirloom is like seeds handed down and people kept them in homes. And even I can buy from the US a seed where they tell you an Iraqi gentleman saved it from Iraq, brought it with him to the US to try and save this variety. And now we're producing it for you to buy it. And it's not a hybrid. But the problem is, like I said, if I want to compete in the market, everyone else is getting 10 tons from this area, and I get 5 tons because I'm collecting seeds and using non-hybrids. So how can I compete if people aren't going to pay the difference? So that is where the challenge is, and that's why hybrids are most of farming is hybrids.
Okay.
So then what am I doing with that extra varieties that I talked about?
Yeah.
Continuously growing these conventional, not hybrids, like open pollinated seeds that are heirlooms passed down wherever I can get them. Our common acquaintance, Preeti Pawani, she gave me a packet of seeds and says, this is from one of the people that works with us. He brought it from Nepal. Can you try it? And now I produce it and sell it to customers because it succeeded.
Wow.
But I failed in 100 others. I mean, I failed as in, okay, this isn't good.
What is that?
This doesn't taste good. It's a chili. It's a round chili.
Okay.
Nepalese round chili.
And it's working great out here.
I sell it, yeah. Yeah. It's doing well.
You said if the guy next door is growing hybrids at 10 tons per, that's the yield he's growing.
Yeah,
You're growing
let's say
5,000.
per hectare,
Yeah.
and I'm going 5,000.
Okay.
How am I going to compete? Because my productivity, my costs are the same. My productivity is half.
Is he organic as well?
Yeah. Hybrid, you can. It's fine.
It's whether you go organic or not.
You can get organic hybrid seeds.
Okay.
So the guys that made them used organic farming methods to produce an organic
seeds,
hybrid.
okay.
An organic hybrid.
An organic hybrid.
Yeah, but that is where the confusion is. People think hybrid is genetically modified and it's not organic or whatever. No, it is. It's just a way of producing it. And they didn't play with genes. This is the normal selection. This is how we created anyways.
Okay.
A lot of these
That's how
vegetables.
this
This is GMO or genetically modified is actually illegal in the country. It doesn't matter if I'm organic or not. Nobody's growing GMOs.
Okay.
And GMOs in reality are very, very limited. It's just a marketing term. Everyone puts non-GMO.
Okay.
They can't buy GMO if they wanted to, I think. Corn is like a big one. GMOs, when you go in and edit genes. People are scared of that. I'm scared of that. Well, people talk about, the religious aspect, creating something. People talk about, you don't know what are the effects, the health effects, because it's nothing natural anymore. You can, people are talking about like, you use fish genes into tomatoes.
Yeah, I've seen a documentary on that as well.
Yeah, so my point of view is that if somebody comes up with this extremely productive disease how can you compete anymore? So it's scary because you can patent them. And these like some guy's gonna own tomatoes eventually. When was the last time you tried a different tasting banana?
Not yet, but I'm sure in 10 years you probably have different colors and tastes as well.
No, but it's Cavendish. In 10 years it's gonna be Cavendish.
Cavendish?
It is one variety. It's one banana. So imagine that happens with tomatoes, but a company owns it. They will own countries. They will own you. They will own us. They own food. You will just be an employee that grows it.
I guess that's
So that is why there's this huge movement into let's save seeds, let's avoid GMOs, let's not allow it for the betterment. It's not about economics, even if it's more productive and it's going to help. Because from their point of view, these companies, how are they pushing it? They're saying there's food hunger, populations are growing, we need to increase productivity, we need to do this and that and that. But this is a government's job. Governments can give grants, keep it open, and not private companies owning our food. That is why every year we grow. I have asparagus, artichokes.
Wow.
Carolina Reaper has failed like 2-3 years. I've been trying.
Really?
But Trinidad Scorpion, which is the second spiciest chili in the world, is like 1.4 million Scovilles.
1.4 million. And Carolina Reaper is 1.6, right?
I think, I know. I mean, as soon as you're above 500,000, it's like, it doesn't matter.
You're already screaming.
These are just competition, people trying to find something. But
just to go above it.
But when it comes to taste,
Okay, so are you growing the?
For me, anything above a habanero is way too much.
I think even if you have a habanero.
Yeah, we are growing Trinidad Scorpion. Someone made a sauce out of it, and it had a skull on it, and like don't touch.
Maybe we should do some giveaways of Trinidad Scorpions, and whoever can eat the largest amount of competition. As well.
Yeah. I mean, you sign a liability form. I'm in. I tried it, and oh my god.
You get paramedics right next to us.
We grow Tabasco chilies now, year after year, so it's one of the successful ones,
Really?
and I love it.
Is
it's
anyone
very
buying
productive.
them to make sauces? And
That's always sold out on the website. I can't make them fast enough. The problem is they're this big, and the guys don't want to harvest them. Everyone's like wearing goggles, and because it's burning.
Really?
Yeah. If you're in an area with chilies and you're harvesting, like it's going to be chilies in the air. It's like pepper spray.
Are you going to be crying, literally?
If you're there long enough,
Yeah?
you'll feel it. Your nose, everything. You smell like you just ate some chilies. Like you can smell that
So if I'm having a chocolate bar and walking around this chili field, it's like having a chili chocolate without the chili in it.
I guess, yeah.
Wow.
So like with the Tabasco, like the pricing, it's just you spend an hour and you just harvested this much, right?
Yeah.
And then you go harvest a pumpkin. It's like 3 kgs done. So yeah,
Okay.
but I mean we're identifying these successful new varieties, and then it takes so much time. First year is like, does it grow?
Okay.
Is it productive? Okay. Second year, I found, okay, this is productive, it grows, and I think it tastes fine. Let me grow a small area
Yeah.
and try and give it to people. Do you guys want this? Do you like it? What do you think? How much can it sell for? Is the financials. Third year, then I'll grow it. Okay, 3 years passed just to introduce one variety.
Wow. But look at the viability, if it's feasible for you to grow as well.
Yeah, but farming is a game of patience. Like, it's
Yeah.
very slow.
3 years for one variety is quite a long
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah.
Tell me, I want to get back to, okay, so we didn't conclude on the topic of the...
We didn't conclude on anything. Yeah.
No, we've been all over the place so far.
It's a huge topic. Yeah.
Okay, about the seeds now, from my understanding, of course, more than what you said, but the government has to come and give subsidies, has to come and support where you don't get...
Which they do, obviously. Yeah, they do.
I'm sure
But I
they
mean,
are
every
subsidized.
country has to.
But I think more than that, what people have to do, exactly what you were promoting, homegrown, home farm. People start understanding where their food comes from, and they understand the sustainable aspect of growing their food themselves.
They will understand what I'm talking about. They will value what does it mean that somebody's going out of their way and growing a local seed,
The value
a
of the crop,
regional
the value
seed,
of,
the value of the crop.
growing, the
Not
time.
just going, well, how much is tomato?
In the supermarket, comparing it from one piece to another and getting it out. So I
Yeah.
think that's one of the places where really need to start educating people. more
Yeah,
than anything else.
yeah. But the tours on the farm, I don't, sometimes if somebody asks me a tricky question, I go off on these tangents. But on the tours, it's all lighthearted. Like
Okay.
we're not scaring people and
Yes.
genetically modified, nothing. We don't even we're not even saying organic is better, nothing. It's, hi, welcome to Emirates Bio Farm. So we're organic farm. So this is how we protect our crops. Because you guys know what organic means,
Okay.
but how am I doing it when others need to? And you're talking about, okay, I'm trying to maintain biodiversity so that if I have one crop, then one insect will thrive. All other insects that feed on that will go out. So you have a whack. You're out of balance, you're out of whack. So then if you're trying to maintain the biodiversity where you have the insects, but you have the predators and you have this and that and you have a full ecosystem, not a single one is just going out of control.
Why is that?
This is nature. So in nature, there's a balance in the ecosystem where trees are growing, different
Varieties.
shrubs, and everything is growing. But if I remove the ecosystem, the nature, right? Let's say I cut out all the trees, everything. Birds are gone, everything's gone. I don't even want birds. I have a machine that keeps them away. Ultrasound, like this is what farming does. And then it goes for kilometers corn
Yeah,
or tomato,
monoculture, yeah.
monoculture, right?
Completely.
So
That's
nothing is there. If I have something that's going to attack the tomato, and it finds like a good environment, just tomatoes is great for that specific insect. Everything else
It's gonna be
is not there that keeps this insect population down. That usually does in a regular environment where you have the birds and the predator insects and you have this full.
Wow, okay. And that's why permaculture, polyculture doesn't permit that.
It is a green revolution. It's when industrial revolution happened and we went from hand making cars, let's say in a warehouse, to production line where you make a bolt. So that is how our food systems became. You make tomatoes,
Yeah.
nothing
Economies
else.
of scale, trying to monitor.
Huge, and then you can have automation with the harvesting, with the packing, with the distribution. Everything about you is optimized, and that is how we bring down costs, and that is how it helped humanity reach to the prosperous situation we're in, but at the cost of the environment and earth. And we just became too efficient, we thrived too well, and we're like a virus.
So going on further from this is the soil that we use for
Yeah.
food. So, and that reflects the seed as well. So
This is everyone's question. Where did you get the soil from? Like this is every tourist. Where did you get the soil from?
chicken poop.
And I'm like, yeah, this is desert sand. This is what was here, is what you see, those desert dunes. That's exactly what's in the ground. There's nothing else. We added chicken manure, chicken poop, scientific. Yeah. And that's about it. And then you have the green mulching where whatever you harvest, whatever's left over, you're kind of tilling back into the ground. you're adding compost into the ground, you're adding as much. So we have algae-based fertilizers, fish-based fertilizers, so all these organic additives that kind of introduce bacteria and introduce life back into the soil, and you're doing it very slowly by adding. So when I'm green tilling, like a plant is made out of what mostly? It's made out of carbon. This is the equation. A plant, if you have a pot and a plant grows really big, you're not topping up soil. It's not like consuming the soil to grow. So where did it form? It's taking carbon dioxide, using the carbon to create the leaf and the growth and the stems, and releasing oxygen. So it's just sucking carbon out and creating this. So then when we till it back, we're adding carbon to the soil. And the carbon is the foundation of life, and then you have the bacteria that's feeding on it, and you start slowly trying to build soil, which is the opposite of monoculture, where they find it rich, and then let's not add, let's not do, keep going, corn after corn after corn, forget the old ways of leave a third empty, do this, do crop rotation, so that corn depletes this kind of nutrients. Then after it, I'll grow, let's say, beans, and that'll add, there's some plants that add to the soil. Like beans take nitrogen from the air and add it to the soil. Yeah.
Wow, okay. Yeah.
They're nitrogen fixers.
Okay.
Anything in the legumes. There's a few trees,
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. So they do use them, but we moved away from a lot of these in the purpose of efficiency and cost cutting, and just maximizing revenue. And soil is not a renewable source. So people assume soil like you just dig.
Yeah, it's just.
But when we talk about soil for agriculture, it's topsoil. That's where the nutrition is. And apparently in nature, like it takes 1,000 years to get like 10 centimeters
of topsoil.
Yeah, and we're using it. I think there was a study where we have 50 years left. What we're doing now, we have 50 years left, yeah.
And that's including all the...
You have arid, what's left is just arid land, depleted soils.
Can you use...
And when it becomes depleted, what happens is it becomes like there's a runaway point where you deplete it to a point where it destroys it completely. It stops retaining water. The properties break down where it becomes really faster, where it goes into a bad situation, yeah. And that affects everything else. And that's a great dust bowl, if you've heard about, in the US, that happened in the early 1900s.
The what?
The Great Dust Bowl.
No.
So it's just a lot of
arid
wind
land.
Came and arid land and sand was just a very bad situation.
The water table and everything below it.
Everything, yeah.
Now, from the soil bit, soil that you get over
Let's keep it positive.
Yeah. Well, we can try, but I guess there's so many outlooks, as you said, what's happening to the government, what's happening to the seeds and everything, but at least people like you are trying to contribute.
It's a rabbit hole in everywhere, and people want the headline, the easy to digest information. And I try to, because I think this format is great, where you can talk for an hour and kind of visit these, but you need a few episodes, I think.
I think there are going to be more than a few episodes, but I think I would love more to speak about the future of farming as well, but I think you have another point of view as well, like I suppose a lot of global tech companies do.
Yeah.
Now, coming back to the soil bit, the soil that you use over here, which you said you use fish produce, the chicken, is that all locally procured?
Yes, the fish is from the waste from the fisheries. They produce a waste product that you can create a fertilizer out of. It's actually very, very good for the plants. The algae based is produced easily. You just algae is also another in the future, like algae. It's been talked about for a long time, but people continuously are working on algae. So these are sustainable. These are sustainable. Yeah.
But it's not commercial yet, the algae, or not to an extent.
The algae-based fertilizers, they are, but I mean the other uses like biofuels and for the airline industry and all these things, and animal feed, animal supplements made out of algae. Like people are trying to look at all these uses that will take hold in the future. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very interesting stuff.
Yeah. I want to touch actually get into later on where how people who are interested in farming are getting into the industry, as well as creating their own small mini farms at home and their backyards.
The home gardens. Yeah.
What advice you have for them? But before that, I want to understand from you about what the market's like with local produce, as well as the produce that's imported in the country, because 90%, as you said, comes in from abroad.
Yeah, this is usually the headlines. 90% of food is imported in the UAE.
I want to understand from you, like, insight from what happens from the supply chain perspective, what happens from distributors like the supermarkets.
Yeah.
And the challenges local farms face literally, because I want to understand, I mean, I'm completely for going local and supporting local. I don't buy much veggies myself.
Yeah.
But there's a price point as well where you decide, because I love watermelon and fruits, and sometimes you see fruits are much more expensive locally. So just to understand why that happens, and what can people do locally, like local community what can local community do to support local farms?
So I think, first of all, we have to just break down that the imports are coming in. Always the assumption is, of course, in a huge percentage of that, the reason is it's not available locally. But there are parts where that is not true. It's available locally, and it's actually even overproduced where it's being thrown away. Like I said, due to the huge agricultural revolution, there's a lot of farms in this country. You're talking, 40,000 plus, okay?
In the UAE?
In the UAE.
40,000 plus farms?
Yeah, because at some point it's just, you are born, you get a farm if you ask for it. So you get a plot, it's ready, they prepare it for you.
But are these farms active?
And you get subsidized? No, no. There, a huge percentage is, but a lot of them are for my family, my friends.
Fine.
Yeah.
Family farms, basically.
Family farms, but they go direct to market, and the economies, like the economics, don't make sense. There's many reasons for that. When it comes to production, or let's say importing, a good example is tomatoes. And what we grow here in protected agriculture, in greenhouses: tomatoes, cucumbers, capsicums. These are the main crops. And then you have outdoors like eggplants and potatoes and onions. These are large-scale crops that people are doing here.
Sorry, just to interrupt you. Are these the crops that you can grow and you can't grow other crops, or are these the crops which are in demand and make sense economically?
Both. They're in demand because every culture is eating tomatoes and cucumbers and capsicums. Those are main crops, and those were identified as the feasible to do in these closed structures. And the economic. And these are the main, But if you want to talk about main like the food basket, there's wheat and rice. That is the bigger chunk, right? And corn, which goes into animal feed and a lot of manufacturing. No, these things we do not grow locally. And animal feed. Those are water depleting, not sustainable, and the government took an initiative to stop it, stop especially the animal feed. Because it goes to feeding camels, and not a very productive industry currently. So to stay on track, the tomatoes, I think, is a good example. Because of all these farms, we have a huge capacity to produce tomatoes, and like any country in the world, there's seasonality, right? So in season, let's say the December, November, December, Jan, Feb, March, April, the good months. And then it extends to May, June.
That's the season for tomatoes.
That's the season for tomatoes here. And can grow a bit, like up to June, let's say. All right? So these tomatoes, we produce the amount of waste, I would say, in the country, is half. It's thrown away, half.
Half the tomatoes produced in the UAE.
But I don't want to get quoted. This is not scientific at all. This is just
this is ballpark.
This is ballpark, like if you ask me. So what happened is, initially, when you give all these people farms and you want them to farm, but there was no demand, so the government guaranteed the purchase. So people, whatever they would grow, the government would buy. And then, if it doesn't go to market, then it gets dumped or tried to use in any other way. That was before. But that grew this industry and grew all this investment, and then now they have to sell, and there are like farmer cooperatives which gives them a price and all these things. But the price points are still like based on the subsidies of 10 years and 20 years ago, where
so it's low cost then.
But you don't have the subsidies anymore.
Oh, you don't have the subsidies anymore.
A lot of the subsidies aren't there, so the viability has been very bad. So you have overproduction, the selling price doesn't sustain, and you're throwing it away. And the consumer, at the end of the day, doesn't know any of this, because on the supermarket level, you're gonna have a UAE section, you're gonna have many other countries, Spain, whatever it is, France, Lebanon, Jordan, Oman, whatever it is, they're gonna stay there. The supermarket and the consumer because of our lifestyle, because of you want convenience and you want variety.
Correct.
So they're going to offer this variety. It doesn't matter how much I grow tomatoes in my season.
If you're saying
So-
a huge percentage of tomatoes is going to the dump, so why won't the supermarkets give it at a lower price, make it more competitive, and let the consumer get it instead of throwing it away? Because the food waste is, it's a global issue now.
So like I said, already the farmer isn't getting a good price.
Okay, yeah.
And the supermarket has no incentive if you're throwing it away, how does that negatively affect the supermarket? Supermarket can,
It's
to
like the
them,
ecosystem.
you're a supplier.
Yeah.
Your price is this much, I can sell it at this much. This is because local is supposed to be cheap and the subsidies, this is local's ceiling. 8 dirhams a kg, let's say, 6 dirhams a kg, 4 dirhams, whatever it is.
Okay.
This is how much I can sell it for. But if I import, costs me 10, I can sell it at 40. I can sell it at 50, at 60, because it says.
And the demand is there.
The demand is there.
So you think majority of the people would not buy a kilo of tomatoes for 6 dirhams, they'd rather buy for 10 dirhams or 15 dirhams because it's imported?
Not majority of people,
But
to be honest, okay, also there is a quality difference.
There is a quality difference.
Yeah, if you lump everybody together.
Don't we lose nutrients on the way? If it's
Yeah.
been imported and
Yeah,
lost, so what?
the nutritional, the carbon footprint is humongous.
Absolutely.
The nutritional quality is terrible.
So isn't a local produce, which is maybe a
And this is what the
movement.
movement is about now. Buy local,
Educating.
and this is what the government's trying. The government here doesn't want to look at subsidies, and of course they do where it's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
But the way they want to manage things is to support you in a business aspect. Okay, you need more demand, so then they're doing all these education routes.
sense.
They're negotiating on our behalf with the supermarkets that you need to support local. They do SME designations. Let's say farmers get preferential treatments.
Mm-hmm.
Let's assume put more on your shelf. Like they push from that aspect, and we have seen a shift.
The difference.
Yeah.
One is there no way to incentivize supermarkets to keep a larger share for UAE products and price it differently as well?
Now this is the announcement that was made by the government
Recently?
especially in Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
That we are gonna ask the supermarkets that they have to have this much space of their fruit and veg for local.
So just to understand, you have a website as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So if people come to you directly,
Yes.
as opposed to going to supermarket,
Yeah.
it's much cost effective for the consumer?
It's
On par.
difficult, on par.
Okay, it's on par.
It's because how can I say this? It's the service.
Yeah.
It's a high quality service. You're ordering from a farm to harvest for you, put it
It's
in a
farm
box,
to
deliver it
table,
to your
right?
home.
Okay, so
It's a
this-
premium service.
Okay.
Whereas if I deliver to a Carrefour, I'm
It's in
delivering.
bulk and they manage logistics.
They do
transportation.
everything themselves to their all stores, and you come and meet them at the stores. If you want the best price, come and meet me at the farm. Like you have to meet me halfway.
Okay, so if a consumer decides to get much better quality product at a better price point,
You
they
go
can
to the farm.
How
Yeah.
far is the farm from here?
The farm is 45 minutes from downtown.
For downtown Dubai,
Yeah.
on the way to Al Lane, right?
Yeah.
Shuaib, Al Shuaib?
El Shoaib, exit
Okay.
55.
Exit
Yeah.
55.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in November we'll open up again. We have a farm shop. We have a restaurant. So people come. People made it a habit where
To-
like lady groups will come meet for breakfast because we produce our own eggs, our own vegetables, and we have a
Eggs as
restaurant.
well?
Yeah, we have a restaurant that's fully vegetarian. So
Wow.
they come. They tell the guys what they want packed. They go have their coffee, their morning coffee or breakfast, and then their order is done. They pick it up, drive back. It's like a weekly
It's
ritual.
a daily occurrence? Like you have, is your coffee shop open every day?
Yeah,
every morning?
yeah. We're open every day from 8 a.m. till sunset. Yeah.
Why didn't you stretch the coffee shops to somewhere closer to downtown?
Like keep moving closer.
Yes,
Yeah, just pick
exactly.
it up.
You move it.
Yeah.
That would, I think you do really well, especially in a place like Courtyard or Circle, somewhere where you have exactly from farm to table.
Yeah, there's many reasons. So farming, as you said in the beginning, Al-Khawanij has farming.
Exactly.
But traditionally, farming in the UAE, especially when we talk about tomatoes, cucumbers, it does happen in Dubai and the coastal areas, but
Okay.
it's mostly concentrated inland towards Abu Dhabi, Al Ain. And the reason is when you're away, like there are days here where it's 90% humidity, 100% humidity. That affects. It affects the cooling of the plants. The plants use evaporative cooling, transpiration, and that takes the heat away. Like if you're sweating and you have a fan, you will feel cold.
Correct. Yeah.
But if you're sweating and it's humid out, that's why humidity makes us feel hot, because the water, your sweat doesn't evaporate. And that's the same with the plants. So it's better to farm inland. Also the water sources, less salt.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, and you have sweet soil, which is the red sand. Inland.
It's more sweet.
You can notice, like while you're driving away from the coast, where you have more salinity, and then you drive calcium, and then you drive all the way in, and it's more red.
In the mountains, of course.
Yeah, it's more sand, and this sand is easy to drain, and it doesn't have salinity issues. Yeah.
Okay.
Even here, when you have landscape projects, like sweet sand or desert sand is brought in.
Always, and I think that's in every country. Then again,
if you have a situation where it's an inhospitable growing environment. I mean, yeah, Dubai is special.
Okay.
Because the landscaping, like you want any kind of tree you want any grass, But if you go to Las Vegas, let's say desert or the south of Spain, then they act like they are in the desert, where it's cactus and desert climate crops that grow in that soil, and which is now the movement. It's been around, but now there's a huge movement of growing gaff trees, let's say with Goombok and with Tatiana, and you have companies for good and a few others that support like growing gaff trees, and they work with us and other indigenous.
Do you grow gaff trees as well on your platform? Okay, coming back as we keep going around the place, coming back to the produce, and so what would you want consumers to do right now in terms of, I mean, of course, buy local products, but more than that, what do you, just to understand, what are the benefits of buying local produce as opposed to buying imported produce? What does the consumer really need in terms of nutrients, in terms of carbon footprint, the water that they've lost, sustainability?
So there are three things.
Okay.
Health, let's say, environment, and food security. When it comes to health, as you said, nutritional value as the crop, the longer it is from harvest, the less nutritional value it has. And to be honest, a lot of the stuff on the shelves is at least 2 weeks to a month old in a lot of times, where it gets harvested not ripe, green, and then ripened when it arrives, and then put on the shelf. And I'm not against some of these practices, because it's always like, now we ask a question: why is this chemical in my food? Why is that? Or why? It's to solve a problem. It's always to solve a problem most of the time. And because of these things, it improved. Like, people get super upset that bananas are in a plastic bag, let's say. And this is very controversial. It's like bananas already packaged.
Exactly, the peel.
Yeah, the peel. So, but if somebody did a study and said, when we package it this way, we reduce waste by 20%, and you multiply 20% by the millions of tons around the world, and you come up with a number where, okay, you didn't use more water or land or blah, 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 but you produce more bananas, which reach the customer instead of getting thrown away. Do you use the plastic or not? So these questions are difficult. It's not a very straightforward. Obviously, the people behind these things don't want to wrap it in plastic for no reason.
Absolutely,
When it comes to organic, is wrapped in plastic because of the contamination. So it's part of the certification that I have to guarantee that it's contaminant free to your home.
Okay.
If I give it loose, and the supermarket has all these other vegetables and all these other, and puts it in the same, the cross-contamination issue. Okay. It's the same as like lactose, and with the
nut seeds or cooking in that.
Nuts, allergies. So back to.
Okay, back to the produce thing. In the supermarket now, you said when they pick the fruits or pick the capsicum and pick it up raw and put it and let it ripen at the supermarket itself. How does that impact the veggies?
So we were talking about the health, the nutritional value. There are numbers you can look up where how much nutritional value is lost. Because at the end of the day, we're not eating, like, this is what's happening around the world, that we are eating less nutritious food.
Okay.
So the same amount of calories, less nutrition, so you're getting deficiencies in a lot of things.
Okay.
And that's a problem. The other thing is the environment that we talked about, which is the carbon footprint.
Okay.
Imagine a farm in any country, in country A, he harvests and sends it to a distributor. He receives from a whole bunch of farms, so that went by truck. He received it. Now he wants to export. He sends it by truck to shipping or airplane. That gets on. It doesn't. It goes to a trader here. That trader is in Al Awir, let's say. He brings it by truck to his location, and then he distributes to supermarkets. And then supermarkets receive it on their shelves, and then there's and all the cold store throughout the whole process, including the whole shelf space, and then you drive and pick it up. Now imagine ordering on my website. I picked a tomato, I put it in a box, and then it went to your house in a van.
The magic of 2020.
Imagine the carbon footprint. To be honest, I think if someone comes and eats a meal at my restaurant, I'm going to start making the argument that it's carbon negative.
I guess if you have enough green on your land, you're sequestering carbon at the end of the day.
Yeah. First of all, the plant is sequestering carbon. I'm adding it as much as possible back into the soil, and then I'm taking it and cooking it like it didn't travel anywhere, and then you consumed it right there.
Wow. I think that's farm to table, right? That's what you're promoting.
It's been so abused. I mean, you just see farm to table, and the guy is a supermarket, or I mean, I don't get your I think you're confused about the whole farm to table thing. Exactly. That is, so it's called the farmer's table.
Okay.
The restaurant's called the farmer's table.
The one you have. Yeah. But that's epic.
Yeah. Okay. It's the farmer's table.
You've got to bring this down.
We don't have a real menu. It's like you come and you're like, oh, pumpkin appetizer, pumpkin in the salad, pumpkin main course, this pumpkin dessert. Like, what's going on? Well, I harvested pumpkins. Like this.
You can make pumpkin ice cream. Is that right? I saw this.
We've done eggplant like tart, like a dessert, and people are like, "What is this? What is?" I'm like, "I have eggplants. Like, deal with it."
It's not going to the dump. There's no food waste.
No. As one of my colleagues, Dima, who's in events and marketing and is behind a lot of the things I talked about with the tourism. Yeah, so no vegetable left behind.